Hello and welcome to a very quick tutorial video from Mark Fixes Stuff on how to change the RAM backup battery, i.e. the save game battery, on a Sega Mega Drive cartridge. This is Shining Force. It works perfectly, but when you save and then repower the machine back on, your save game isn't there. So that just means that the battery, which is literally just a battery, it's not rechargeable or anything, has died, worn out. They're fairly easy to replace. I'm going to show you how. Here we go. So we'll take this out here. And the tools you're going to need are a 3.8mm gamebit driver, obviously some batteries for replacement. I've got a pair of side cutters here, some leaded solder. You don't want to mix unleaded with leaded solder, and some brass in case we need to clean the contacts any. This is a bit aggressive though, so you need to be quite quick. And a bit of tissue paper. Right, so without further ado, let's crack this sucker open. And there are a particular type of screw, as you can see, a particular type of driver. I've done a review on this gamebit set on one of my videos, which you'll be able to find in the video list. It's brilliant. You get two. Get the smaller one with it as well. Right, so pop this open. Okay, and we can see the battery is there. Now what we need to do, and this would be a damn sight easier if I hadn't just disintegrated my solder sucker completely. It literally fell apart. It's just unsolder those tabs, and then with the correct orientation of the battery, with the positive being on the top, put the tabs back through, bend them and solder them. As you can see, it's pretty much a like for like replacement. No problemo. Actually, no, it'll be that way. These are Varta batteries. I recommend getting Varta or a decent brand of battery because otherwise you're going to be doing this quite often. Okay, so I think that there's actually a dry solder joint on that. I have a video on repairing dry solder joints, which is down in my video list. Huzzah! Yeah, okay, so not too much work required to get that one out. In fact, don't even need to solder that at all. What I tend to do when I'm taking these tab batteries out, when they're not actually so easy to remove as that, is I use the side cutters and snip them off and then just remove the tabs. If you leave the battery on, you start applying your solder, what can happen is the heat can transfer into the battery, and it's like a massive heat sink, which means it takes longer to heat the joint, and the joint can get damaged through heat, and the solder pads can lift, but that's not an issue here. Right, so let's just straighten that up. Okay, I'm going to put a bit of tension on that. I'm pulling against it, not the official way. I'm very much of the school of coating your solder tip as you put it back into the, it's hard to do this around the camera, sorry, back into the stand, because that way it stops the solder oxidizing. Okay, so that's the battery removed. Drop that because it is scaring me because I thought it might be hot. Right, so we can see quite clearly here on the board that we have a positive side and a negative side. The positive side is marked, the negative side isn't. Okay, so let's get our battery out. Okay, so our battery has got two sides. You can see this is the positive side there. Okay, positive side needs to go into here. Now you can see where this is going basically, and the negative side goes through there. So we'll pop the negative side through. Might need to trim that actually with side cutters. Sometimes the terminals are a bit wider. Yeah, we're going to need to trim that with the side cutters. So what I'm going to do here is just take the side cutters and use them a bit like tin snips. I'm not going to waste your time by doing this on camera. I'll just snip these off and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so possibly not my finest work ever, but I've trimmed these tabs down, narrowed them a little bit with the snips. It's actually really, really thin, so it's harder to do with the snips than you'd think. It's like double thick tin foil, So if you can get scissors in there, that's actually a little bit easier actually. But yeah, I've sort of used the old battery as template here, as you can see here, for the tab position. Actually the other way around. So there we go. They're obviously a bit long, so let's pop this into the board and go from there. So bearing in mind that the positive goes to the left, where you can see the positive symbol. Okay, I'm just going to pop that into the hole, as well as the negative. Negatives in there, positives going in there. What I like to do after that is sort of get it snug, because there's a little circle screen printed on the board for the battery, so I like to get it as close into there as I can. And with my fingers at the moment, I'm just bending the tabs around on the back, as you can see. Okay, so we're going to use a fairly generous blob of solder on each of these to make sure that they take. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this negative terminal down. Actually, I'm going to use a pair of scissors this time because it's actually easier. Let's make sure that's clear of the board and push that down. Like I say, there's no real hard and fast science to this. What we're going to do is we're going to basically use some big fat blobs of solder to get this sorted. So leaded solder. I would usually clean the solder off the board, but unfortunately that's not an option. Now when you're soldering, you always want to get your component lead and the solder on the pad at the same time. And same on this one. Turn it slightly so I can see what's happened there is I've not got enough heat on the component lead. The battery tab. That's a pretty poor job. Well, it'll do. That's more like it there, you see? And I don't want to apply too much heat, but that'll do the job. We're not here to win any beauty contests at the end of the day. It's nice and solid. Battery didn't get hot. And I'll do a little continuity check on that as well. So we're just going to check the integrity of the points we made. So pop the meter on. It's in the 20 volts DC range. Okay, so the top here, working around. I'm going to go to these points here. I'm also going to lift the board up a bit so I'm not resting on the battery. 3.21 volts. I've given these a quick clean. As you can see, they're all shiny and spongy. Lovely. Okay, let's just get rid of the meter. Get out of the way. And whilst we're here, I'm going to do a quick ESR check. Check for equivalent series resistance on this capacitor. So just get my ESR meter. These things are invaluable and save you so much time. I would normally just change this, but I haven't got a 16 volt 47 microfarad capacitor in stock. So okay, so turn this on, and we are going to pop a clip on that leg. It's quite difficult to get in there to get the needle probes out really, but okay, just making sure that's not bridged across. So 57 mic, ESR of less than an ohm, so yeah, that's really good. And with this meter, when it goes ding ding, it's basically saying, yeah, it's approximately in a good range. Yeah, that's good. Good stuff. Right, so that capacitor is fine. For now, I mean, it might dry out next year, but that's the problem for next year, isn't it? This isn't actually my cartridge either, so I want to get it returned to the chap rather than sit around waiting for a capacitor to arrive. So yeah, this is Mark from Mark Fixes Stuff signing out and saying subscribe to get your fix. Thank you very much for watching. See you all in the next exciting episode. Rock and roll. Bye bye.